Welcome to a very special edition of Boy Band Break. As always, my name's Diane.
I'm Chinzia.
I'm Sophia.
And I'm Lydia, aka Mama Lou.
And what makes this edition special is that if you're watching, you can see we have a very special guest, Sara, from What's Happening on the Backstreet. It's a collab, and you may be wondering, hey, Boy Band Break, you usually release new episodes on Sundays. Today's Tuesday. You're so right and you're so smart. And it is Tuesday.
Okay.
But today is also a very special day. 420? Yup. But
Smoke them
unless if you're not a stoner
and you're not Kevin Richardson.
Today is also the Backstreet Boys' 28th anniversary of being a group. And so we thought we would do this very special. Okay, we're cheering.
Yay! Also, yay for Sara!
Woo! Okay.
Yay for
I'm
Sara
wearing
and
the
yay
shirt.
for Backstreet. Oh, nice!
Love it. We thought we would do this very special episode where we would collab with Sara and just go through, we're going to go through all of your favorite Backstreet eras. You're thinking of them in your mind. You're like, oh, remember that time? Yeah. We're going to discuss it
Give
today.
that bowl cut action. Yes, queen.
Yeah. The best of times and the worst of
I don't
times.
know what that was.
Yes. Yeah, that's true.
I will try to remember things.
The Howie long hair, that was a moment.
All right.
Okay,
So
but yes, go ahead.
we have to start at the beginning.
Yes.
Because, it's the very good place to start.
That is correct.
Yes.
Is that a song?
Yes.
Stars
Yes,
from the
it is.
very
Right.
beginning.
It's from The Sound of Music.
Yes.
Anyway.
Yes. Anyway.
April 20th, 1993. The
Dun,
Backstreet
dun,
Boys
dun.
formed.
Like in the warehouse?
I don't know. They formed like this, apparently.
They generated him in the warehouse.
All
And then,
five, Brian joined the group.
That's what it was.
Oh, okay,
They
okay.
made the call to Brian in Kentucky. He was like, yeah, dog, I'll be there.
I
And
was
I
then-
want to
history
be in high
class.
school right now.
I wouldn't want to be in high school either. Get that shit.
As we talked
Exactly.
about
It
in
was in
previous
history class.
episodes.
Get out of there.
Mm-hmm.
They're just making history as it happens. So
Exactly.
prior to this, they had a couple of different incarnations of the boys.
With Phoenix Stone.
Yes, and our buddy Charlie Edwards
Yes.
and other things. But this is when the actual Backstreet Boys as we know it came together and came to be.
Now, they definitely were formed in Florida, mostly.
Orlando, Florida, yeah.
But they didn't really take off in America, did they?
No, they did not.
Sarah did.
Americans have very discerning tastes. So
we had
it's-
better taste at the time.
Well, early 90s
took
was
them
kind
a
of more
while.
like grunge music, wasn't it? More-
Nirvana.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
that's right.
We
that's
just
right.
wanted them to marinate before they came here,
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Fair enough. I mean,
And Snoop Dogg.
and a steak
Yeah.
is good, but a marinated steak is best.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
true.
Makes sense.
So where do you send things to marinate? You send them to Europe
Yes.
because, they got
They
the
needed
good
some European
flavors.
seasoning.
There you go. Exactly right.
Germany,
Maybe? Was it
Germany was
Okay.
like the main place, and
Yeah.
Sweden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
where Max Martin was, took a
Right.
little-
Yes.
And
That's where they started making their everything good.
Yes.
Exactly.
Um,
So the tricky part about the beginning era is that everyone kind of has a different starting point, right?
Mhm.
So in Europe, they knew about the Backstreet Boys and they have memories before any of us even knew they existed.
right.
True. Yes.
In Canada, we have a little bit of a leg up because we did get that Red album.
Yeah.
It was
Yes.
released here. We were starting to get, from these European countries, a little bit of Backstreet. The
Yeah, a
songs
little
were
taste.
filtering in.
Yeah.
Maybe
It was
not-
coming from mostly like White TV's hit list and also Much Music. That was like our two
Yes.
main ways of getting new music. And I think because
Yeah.
I don't even know if radio was picking them up at the time.
Not that I remember.
Not that I remember. Yeah.
I don't remember that. It's
I mean,
mostly
even much
TV.
Yeah, much music. We had to beg them by fax. We had to send them, please play the Backstreet Boys, and they're like, no. I was like, stupid.
They had a show called Combat Day Clips, and then you could vote in by phone or by fax machine.
And fax machines were hard to get at the time. And like,
We had one.
my
so
dad
we were always
has
featured
always
on the
been,
show.
even though he's like old school Italian, he always likes the newest tech. So like we had a fax machine before anyone else had a fax machine.
We're like, look at us.
So we're just
cool.
like,
we're drawing stuff, we're faxing it in.
It was,
Yes.
we're dating ourselves.
So, so the first album came out in '96 in Canada,
Yes.
Yeah.
according to Wikipedia.
Where did it go
97.
in Europe? Was that the same time?
It just says that the Backstreet Boys album was released May 6, 1996.
So it came out around then.
The Red album, is that what we're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah.
And our first music video that we saw was
Get Down.
Get Down.
I mean, it could have been different for all of us. I don't know what you saw.
For
Yeah.
me, it was Get Down.
Like, I think we should just talk about the eras as they lie and then like what you remember about that era, because
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
That's a good
exactly.
idea.
I remember seeing, because obviously we didn't have them until like 97, 98. And I remember seeing commercials for like As Long As You Love Me. And I feel like it was just advertising the album. Like wasn't advertising like a performance or anything. And I remember seeing them and I remember hearing the music. But they weren't like a big deal here. I mean, they were on the American Music Awards with everybody. I feel like Everybody was obviously the first song here that was
Okay.
super popular.
Yeah, so I guess that's the tricky part, right? Because we definitely had two distinct albums. Like we had the Red one and then we had Backstreet's Back versus like you had just the one album that was
Yeah,
kind of
and,
a
like,
merge of those two.
When you mentioned the Get Down music video, that wasn't, you know how you can look up videos on YouTube and everything here. Unless you bought that, remember the green VHS tape that they had?
Yes.
It was like
the
video.
background is green.
Yeah, the green,
Yeah.
the background's green, and then they're like on the front of it black. That was the only way to see the Anywhere For You video and Get Down. When I bought
Yeah.
that, I was like, I've never seen these music videos. Like,
Yeah.
but it's funny for you to say that it was like that's what you saw up there because that was never on MTV here.
Yeah.
Get your
Interesting.
Thank you. There we go. Now we're better.
Yeah, so I mean it's that, so we'll kind of lump I think that first Red album
Yeah,
and everything that's Backstreet's Back into one
yeah, like you have the US
Era?
album and Backstreet's Back.
Mm-hmm.
era. And then so like
Quit Playing Games, that was before that, right?
this is all the same.
It was all that era.
Oh, okay.
Because for us, okay, just to clarify,
Okay.
we definitely had the Red album is your Get Down, it's your Quit Playing Games, it's your I'll Never Break Your Heart, the sweater one, not the apartment one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The ski lodge.
Because
one.
apparently Americans don't ski. I don't know. Anyways.
Yeah, you know,
You always got to be different.
right?
And then Backstreet's Back's obviously Everybody,
Yeah.
As Long As You Love Me.
Yes.
What is that? All I Have to Give.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those were all on the American album, and then there were ones that weren't on ours that were on yours. That
Like
I
a
think
Child was on it. I could have
Like
sworn
a Child
was
is
on it. Yeah.
one of my favorite songs, and it's not on
One of
any
mine
album.
too.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Okay.
And like here, I didn't become a fan until like Millennium, like an actual fan. And you had to buy those albums. You had to buy Backstreet's Back and the Red album as imports, and they were like $30, which is unheard of, you know.
Yeah.
And it was like, I remember saving my money to buy a $30 album. And my mom was like, that's ridiculous. And I was like, you don't understand.
Because the albums were like about $15 at the time, right?
20.
Yeah.
15, 20-ish, yeah.
I don't know. I was 12. I didn't have my own money. I was just like, Mom and Dad, I need this, please.
Pretty much.
Right.
Yeah.
What I also thought was interesting whenever we'd go visit our relatives in the States is that the States was always very big on singles.
Yeah.
And you could buy individual singles, and they really weren't available here as often.
And it
It's
had
more like you
better
have to buy the
like
full album here.
art, like cover art, right? You're like, oh, well, I didn't see this picture of Nick.
Yeah.
Maybe I should get it.
Well, that's what I kind of wanted, because I think regardless of which album you start with, this is probably like the first time you're seeing the boys,
Yeah.
right? So like that's sort of like when I think of this time, I'm like, oh, this is like my first impressions of them. And like things that I remember from that time were just like, obviously Nick was the most beautiful man I ever saw in my life. I was like, oh, my husband, I found him. The search is over. I'm 13 years old. Done. You know.
Was this Howie Jesus hair, or is that?
No, Jesus hair.
No. This was like,
He had
was this the short curly hair?
I mean, at the very beginning,
part of it.
But I
It's
think
like-
then it was like ponytail a lot.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's like he had the short curly hair when it first came out, and then it like transitioned to the
Slick
curly slick back. Because if you think about it, the homecoming concert that was televised.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, we didn't see it here, but yes.
But you know what I'm talking about. That's like the era.
Yeah.
That was televised here, and that was a big deal.
Yes.
Was that like Disney Channel or no? That was
It was ABC Family, which it's ABC Family now. It was something different back then, but I feel like that was the introduction, and I feel like they reran it more during the Millennium era than when it actually came on.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but they used to rerun it a lot.
Yeah, I mean, Backstreet hustled hard, man. Like they went to school
Oh yeah,
and
that
stuff
was
too,
schools
right?
and all that stuff.
Was that
too.
during the beginning phases?
Yeah.
That would have been in the first 3 years.
That was probably even, I mean, I don't know. My understanding from watching the documentary is that was even pre-Europe.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
What was?
The
So
going
when
to
they went to
schools.
the schools and performed.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think that was so the way I understand it, and from what I've heard from people that were at the schools, it's like they tried really hard at the schools, and then they got picked up to go on tour with somebody else in Germany.
Mhm.
And then they hit it big. And then they came home, and that homecoming concert was when they came back from Europe.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Okay.
So
Yeah. What else do I remember? I remember we've 100% talked about this before on our thing, that like the Quit Playing Games video was like sort of the like, I used to joke around that was like, that's when I became a woman.
Yeah, legit.
It's
So we're just like, whoa.
Wow.
right.
That was
Yeah.
hot. Because like men aren't really sexualized in that way. You know what I mean? Like men are just more like, I'm about 10 men and I got an axe. And you're just like, okay, yeah, that's cool, right? But like when you see like,
Where has that ever been?
you know what I mean? Like it's just like when you think of like a typical man, you're like, okay, that's a dude.
You know, in the Backstreet Lumberjack video,
But like,
You didn't get that in the States?
But it's like-
it's Lumberjack.
all right, sharpen my X. No, but so like, okay, but like, you know, like at that time, like men were like, I am men, and you're like, okay, that's great. But then when you see like 5 men all dressed nicely, all wet, doing this shit, you see a nip, and you're like, holy
Yeah.
shit!
You're like, wow, fire.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
And then also you have to consider our age, right?
Also-
Maybe that was why up until now you just like think of men as like your dad
I
or
guess.
your uncle or your like,
lumberjack.
you know. So
How many lumberjacks have you met in your life?
Saying, like, you know, like you see like the okay, you know, like
That's her
Cornelius.
fantasy, Chinzia. Come on. Let her be.
From Rudolph the
Yeah,
Red-Nosed
like
Reindeer?
Cornelius is kind of like the ideal man, like not the ideal.
The ideal
not the
man.
ideal. No, not the ideal. The gross. I mean, what I'm saying is like that's when you think of a man, you think of Cornelius Fudge.
Okay.
Canada is so weird.
No, that's just Lydia.
It's just Lydia.
I don't know. Like I guess
We could have even said like the paper towel man, the brawny man. That's a little
that
more
was we
interesting.
don't have Bronny
Anyway.
Okay, continue.
circling
Really
back to what
back.
we're supposed to be talking
Thank
about,
you. Yes.
I do think that video kind of hit at a time where for a lot of us, we were like in that pre-teen, early teen stage
Yeah.
where you're just starting to like, you know, go through puberty and you're like, whoa, I'm noticing a man. And I'm not just like, ew, boy, or like, that's my dad. I'm like, hey. you
Yeah.
know?
You're like,
Yeah,
hot.
Exactly. Okay, but The Beatles never did that shit. You don't see the Beatles going.
and I'm thinking-
But Elvis did.
Well, but he did
Elvis.
he did like this shit, and you're just like, okay, that's.
But that was hot at the
Well,
time.
I guess I don't know. Okay, I guess we have higher standards.
But like as
I don't know.
cheesy as the new kids were at that time, like they weren't even doing that. Like they weren't even
Thank
like
you.
taking it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lou's
Really,
like,
this all
okay,
boils
guys.
down to Lou.
Lou's like, all right,
Yeah.
let's just
Gotta get a leg up
Get
on
it.
everyone else.
exactly. They're like, okay, all this shit's been done before. Water and wet t-shirt. Everyone loves wet t-shirt contests.
Well, knowing what we know about Lou, he probably enjoyed it.
That's
Yeah.
probably, exactly, yeah.
They felt
If
like
we knew then.
10 out of 10 boners.
Yeah.
What I know now. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, I think that was
Anyway.
nice. Anyways, that was good.
Okay, what
Yes,
else do I
we all
remember?
agreed that was good.
I remember that I watched the making of the Everybody video like 100 times.
Mhm.
Yeah. Did y'all have that? Did y'all have that? All access VHS where they had the making of the Everybody video and the making of As Long as You Love Me.
I don't know. I don't think so.
I don't
I don't
think
remember
so.
that.
But I could have
No.
sworn like Much Music played it because
Okay, so
I
here's the
vaguely
thing.
remember that seeing it
Yeah.
on Much Music.
If you're Canadian, you're 100% going to remember this if you were like a fangirl in the late 90s. They used to literally have like Backstreet Boys Day.
Mm.
And it would just be like Backstreet Boys music videos and Backstreet Boys interviews and like shit like that.
Yeah.
And they would just play it on loop all day. It was
So you don't like
glorious.
go anywhere. You're just like there at home watching.
So
on
I
TV.
would record this on my VHS tape and then I would watch it all day, every day.
Until the VHS
Right.
tape started running lines.
MTV
like,
did
oh.
that, I feel like, after Millennium. But it's so weird because, like, you talk about these things like everybody knows the same kind of
Mhm.
the same kind of thing. But like I'm saying, like you're saying, oh, I watched the making of Everybody video. I went to the store and bought that, and I thought everybody did. I didn't know it aired
Oh,
on
yeah.
TV. But I, like you, I used to watch that like all the time. And then I remember the As Long as You Love Me, the making of that video. And I think I watched it during the Millennium era, not when it came out.
And I
But
used to be like that smarty pants asshole kid who watched it like so many times and then the video would come on and I'd be like, did you know?
I used to like quote like all of my friends, and I used to quote them like, and I could still like pull quotes like they're nothing from that video. But that's probably when I was like, I'm in love with Brian. Up until
Yeah.
then, I'd been a Kevin girl.
Interesting.
There was a hierarchy here in like high school where like you could only one friend could like that person, so that
Yeah.
that person, then you it was off the table. So like Chunzia called Nick, so I couldn't.
But the thing is, I feel that multiple people liked Nick because I feel like we had more people
in our friend group though, right?
It's kind of like
Generally,
a
you're
free for all with Nick, I think.
Yeah, and then I had to like, I'm like, okay, I had to concede. I'm like, all right, I'll like Howie then. But I'm just like, I don't really.
Howie was your second choice?
No.
Howie's my
Howie-
second choice.
No. Nick was my first choice, but Chunzia liked Nick. So
That's
then
why I
had to
said
concede.
I never
choice was
said
Howie?
you couldn't like Nick.
Chunzia, you had the teddy bear with his face in it. I was like, oh shit, this is serious. Okay, I can't.
But
I can't
Lydia-
break my sister's heart.
I wasn't there.
Out of 5 Backstreet Boys, out of 4 other options, you chose Howie next?
Well, because like, you know,
Was
like,
Nick too much of a bad boy for you?
he had the Latino vibe. You know what I mean? Like Kevin was too old. AJ was too out there at the time. You know, he was having like, you know, the fashion was a little bit out there. I was not comfortable in myself yet. So, and then, you know, like Howie had the Latino vibes, and I'm like, oh, I'm Italian. So that's kind of like, I guess if we got married, that would make sense. So, yeah.
Yes.
And you just didn't notice Brian at all?
And Brian and too many people like Brian. That was the thing.
I feel like Brian's a natural progression from Nick.
From Nick, yes.
yeah, but like there was too much competition there, so I had to go for like, because I was lower on the totem pole. It's like, who do you like? Okay, who do you like? Okay, all right. So I'm not left with many options. I'll go with Howie.
All right.
That was like, but I mean, I like Nick.
Obviously.
Mine was
what?
AJ and Brian, but everyone in my friend group liked them. So I was like, okay, I guess I can't like anybody. So when I didn't hang out with them, I was just like, my favorite is AJ and Brian.
Yeah.
I always say this and nobody believes me, but like in my little circle of friends, which when you're like 12, 13, your realm of the world is very small.
Mhm.
All my friends like Brian. All of them liked Brian. They were like, Brian, oh, he's so hot. Oh, blah, blah.
So what you're
like,
saying is that you had friends with good taste, is what you're saying.
Clearly.
So the only other thing
And I was the only one who liked Nick, and I was just like, I like Nick, and they're like, okay, you just like him
I
because
guess
he's
I
young,
don't know.
and I'm like,
Dirty look, I don't know, it didn't do it for me.
I was like, I don't like him because he's young. I like him because he's cute. They're like, okay, whatever. And then I went to a concert for the first time, not till Millennium, and then I was like, shit, a lot of people like Nick.
Right?
At least I got to like Aaron, and I didn't get a lot of competition
Okay,
for that.
well.
Which was nice.
None of my friends, I had one friend that liked Nick. Kevin was my favorite, but my best friend at the time liked Kevin, so I had to pick another one.
See,
And that's how I came to Brian. But yeah, the Nick thing, I had no idea that so many people liked him, and I was like, oh my God,
Same.
everybody likes
I was
him.
like,
And
why?
right. Oof.
And he's blonde and
Because
cute.
he's pretty.
I was
and
like,
cute,
this-
and
Why do you like that
Then-
look? The curtain look. I was like, what?
I just
don't
like
know
I
why
like
I
how
liked
Kevin looked
it.
like he had a plan.
I don't know.
Yeah. Kevin was like mature. The parents.
And
liked
then I
Kevin.
went to the Millennium concert and AJ's shirt was open and he was like flying. I was like, oh my gosh, this man.
Mhm.
Let's not jump ahead because I know.
okay, I
Cynthia has-
remembered a memory from this time period, guys.
Okay.
Thank God.
We're so proud of you.
Okay, so they were doing a concert. My mom tried to get tickets, but it had been after at least I'd never been to a concert before, and she couldn't get it. And she's like, "Listen, I'm not paying $200 for these tickets or
Fair.
whatever." So we're like, "Okay." So then we found out that they were going to be at Much Music. So myself, Lydia, and
yes.
our other friend went to Much Music in January of '97 or '98.
Is this the intimate and interactive?
Yes.
98.
It was 98 because the concert was 96. Yeah. So we went there. It was our first time ever going to Much Music. It was January in Toronto. It was cold AF. We had no idea what we were doing.
Everything smelled like pee.
I don't remember that part.
You know, it's okay. So like Toronto is like it's like our New York, right? Where it's just like it's dirty, it's grimy,
A lot of stuff
a lot
happens
of
there.
homeless people, and you know,
Okay.
you know, it's not a good place to send your children. But
We
mom
took
was
the
like,
bus. Go enjoy. So we didn't even know where we were going. So we finally get there, and there was a group of people in front of this window, but then there was a barricade all around. So we're like, oh, we'll just go to the front of this barricade, not realizing that. Not realizing that that's the part they were coming out. So we were in the front, but that worked out for us because then we got in the front page of the Toronto Star. So like the next day we were at school and stuff, and yes, so
I'm trying to fix the camera. Sorry.
we didn't get to meet them that day, but luckily we didn't get crushed because if we were in the other section, like a lot of people got like pulled out and crushed and stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I was just remember being so friggin' cold when we got home
It was brutal.
that like I couldn't even take full breaths. My chest
my gosh.
was frozen. Like it was like,
Oh,
and we made
felt my
signs.
period for the first time in my life.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, I was just like I went to like there was like a pizza at the other. And I'm like, what is this? And I'm just like, I don't know. Like maybe the Backstreet Boys brought it on.
Did you say you started your period for the first time?
Yeah.
I always
literally
go
never heard
every
of this.
time. I don't care. Like I every time I see the Backstreet Boys, I like start my period. I don't know what that is.
Really?
Yeah, every time.
Your body's like,
I don't know.
"Ready?"
I don't like. It's like
It's not
oh,
ready.
It's like, were you trying to enjoy yourself? I don't think so.
right,
It's like,
right.
no, please, Jesus, why? Yeah. I think I don't think I've ever told that story to anyone.
Yeah, I've literally never heard that.
Well, I mean, it's not something that comes up very often. Like, hey, when did you start your period in your lifetime? But you know,
Yeah,
it's like,
that's true.
awesome.
Sometimes it
The
does.
best time to talk about it is on the Backstreet Boys 28th anniversary. I think. you know,
Right. You're
Well,
welcome.
It's
My
the
wallet got
anniversary.
stolen.
Your wallet got stolen
Yes, it did.
that day?
Yep,
Shit.
sure did.
I remember that.
Thankfully, I still had the bus ticket in another section.
Oh, thank God.
But like, yeah. We were freezing. I couldn't feel it. We had signs. It was good. So then that picture was used for the next 2 years. Like anytime they wanted to talk about fangirls, they would use this picture.
On the Toronto Star, which is like our
So
like.
it was in my local paper.
funny.
And I was like, so I'm showing everybody, I'm like, guys, look, I was in the local paper. Like I'm in the paper. And they're like, you're on the front page of the Toronto Star. We're like, what are you talking about? And then I like go up to the library. I was like, holy crap. So then my mom took us out to buy like copies of it and take pictures.
And then she plaqued it.
Plaqued it. Then I got,
later.
skipping way ahead, 10 years later, I got 4 of them to sign it. And then 10 years after that, I got Kevin to sign it. So
Because he came back.
it is now fully signed.
Yes.
But it's hilarious because it's like avalanche danger remains after all these people die. Hospitals respond to tainted blood.
Yes.
Blah, blah, blah. And it's just like losing it. Cinzia DeFranco, 15 of Hamilton. Like it's just
And then just like, oh, like a little sprinkle of weird news.
yeah. So I was just like, and they like I was smiling and they wouldn't take a picture. And then until I was like screaming, and then they took the picture and they're like, yeah. So I was like,
You can see me in the corner, like with my little stupid
because I was
sign.
using like a fisheye lens thing.
Yeah.
So like Lydia's like off to the side, but
It's very tiny.
it's very cute.
But I was also there.
I wasn't able to go to that, so I was able to watch television and watch it from home.
That was probably a smarter idea.
Yeah, good plan, Sophia. Good plan.
I remember like buying stuff.
It was very
Perks
exciting. I was like, oh my gosh, Backstreet Boys are Mr.
No.
Music.
Mm-hmm. We bought gifts for them too, and then we gave them to which I don't even know.
Thankfully, it was dollar store gifts, so obviously
True, that's true.
they're like, yeah, just
Probably
put it in
could
this
afford it
box,
at the
and
time.
they're like, you know, at the time that they just throw all that crap away. So
Do they actually? Do you think they do?
I believe so. Yes.
You know what? Let's move on to the millennium era
Good
because
idea.
you know what? I think that's when really, like, I think that first era, whenever it started for you, you know, you were just like growing to love them. But I think
Mhm.
millennium is really when the love got cemented, you know,
Yeah.
when the
Yeah.
like obsession really set in.
Well, and
At least for
Millennium,
me.
the Millennium was the first album that was released the same for everybody on the same date.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's true.
And I
May
feel like
18th, 1999.
I remember it
Right.
like it was yesterday.
right, and I feel personally, I probably like I knew of them before Millennium, but I think that I kind of retroactively like gathered everything from the first era once Millennium came out. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It was so nice because it was like all of the stuff that I had missed. But
Yeah.
I wasn't a fan like when Millennium came out. It was like mid Millennium era, so I didn't see the concert.
Oh, that was my first concert ever.
That was
Yeah.
also my first concert ever.
Popped my
I feel like it was for a lot of people.
We did not go to that
No,
concert.
good
um,
point.
and then I've told like my best millennium era story is that I was fully obsessed by this time, and I knew the album was coming out, and so my friend and I had planned. We were in grade 8, and we had planned to skip school.
Nice.
And we were going to go to the mall and we were going to buy the CD and then we were going to go back to, I think, her house and listen to it all day was the plan. And like, you know, we had to memorize it on the first day.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And so we had a plan. It was like all set out. And then I got strep throat.
No.
And so I had to be like, I was off school anyways. So no school to skip because I was like dying. And I remember she called me like a couple days before it was set to come out. And she was just like yakking about something she had heard or, about them or like whatever. And I was just like laying in bed like,
No.
And she's like, are you okay? You're like, I've been talking about the Backstreet Boys for like 20 minutes and you haven't said anything. And I was like, I'm really sick. And she was like, what? And I was like, yeah, I have strep throat, like blah, blah, blah. And she was like, oh my God, why didn't you say anything? I was just like babbling on.
Oh my God.
Oh, no, I'm fine, whatever, right? And then, as I mentioned previously, I was a bit of a dork. So she went to school the next day and
So
everyone's
she didn't
like,
skip, so you're the bad influence.
yeah, she went to school.
Aw.
She went to school.
Wow.
Everybody was like, where's Diane? Like, she's missed so much school. Like, she never is away for this long. And she was like, oh, guys, she's really sick. Like, I called her yesterday and I was talking about the Backstreet Boys for like 20 minutes and she didn't even say anything. And they were all like, oh my God, is she dying? should we send her a card? Like, is everything
That's
okay?
funny.
That
And
is hilarious.
I was like thinking of it now. It's like hilarious. So then my mom ended up going to the mall and getting me the CD on the day.
Aw.
That's
Because,
nice.
you know, that's my mom. And she was just like, here you go.
Bless.
So I still got to listen to it. And then when I finally went back to school, I remember my one friend, he was like, did you get the album? And I was like, yeah, I got it. And he was like, okay, because my mom went to get it and I'll take hers and give it to you because you need it more. And I was like, you're so sweet. But no, I
That's
got it.
so nice.
That's funny.
Like, I was like, no, I got it. I'm fine. Thank you.
My
Oh yeah, go ahead.
my best friends were the Backstreet Boys fans, and they both went to the concert. My best friends at the time, and so they were the Kevin lovers. I don't know who my other best friend liked. We didn't really talk about it. I guess I don't know, but I remember like my dad had passed away right before that album came out, so I was like, I wanted my mom to know that I liked him, but I was like, should I bother? Like it was like a time, you know. And so I finally got up the like. I don't know. I was weird about like when I liked things, I didn't want them like tainted by other things. You know what I mean? Like I didn't want my mom to be like, oh, that's so cute. So I would just like read my best friends' magazines and like listen to their albums and whatever. And I finally said something to her and she's like, oh, I've heard of them. I like their music. And I was like, we're going to Walmart. Like I was like, oh my God, but my original Millennium CD has arrows on the front cover in pencil to Kevin and Brian because I was like, gonna make sure that everybody knew they were my favorite.
These two are mine.
Yeah.
These are the two.
Like these like ingrained in pencil. But yeah.
Oh
that's
my
what I
God.
remembered.
And sorry, I'm like having flashbacks. Do you guys remember the weird Nick code that was
Yeah.
in the
Yes.
liner? And so there I am dying of like fever and strep throat. I'm like, gotta figure out what this says.
Right.
And my
Yes.
friends are calling me and they're like, my sister said it might be the numbers on the phone. I was like, I'm on it. And I'm like there with a dictionary, like, oh
The
my
red
God.
yarn and everything.
Such a loser.
Yes. I had it all written out on like
Yes.
paper. It's somewhere still because I'm sure I didn't throw it away.
Oh, I
I'm, like,
know.
trying
I
to
probably
go
have
That's funny.
it somewhere.
Knowing Nick now, I'm surprised he had like the attention span to do that. I'm confused.
I know.
Yeah.
Like
It says,
live life to the fullest because
That's
the
it.
future is scarce.
I couldn't remember the first part.
Ooh, that's so deep.
That should be on a motivational plaque.
It
Oh my
should.
God.
It should.
That's funny.
I
should make
remember
something.
we used to have like binders. Do you remember where you could print pictures of something and like stick it in and like the binder was clear,
Yes.
so like you can put whatever you want. I remember like being like tormented, right? Because like I'd put like, you know, like Backstreet Boys and Serial Joe at the time and whatever, and like people would like take my binder and like, you know, like draw like the devil's horns and the little mustache on it. I was like, you guys are dicks.
Oh
Can
my
we try
God.
something over? Yeah, but I mean, but it never deterred me. I just printed out like a new picture and I'm like, y'all can't break me. I'm still gonna like what I like. So, fuck it. Yeah.
I remember like printing out like new pictures every time the Backstreet Boys came out with new pictures and like share it with my friends at school. And it was something that we did, like, show and share it almost. And you like take turns. Yeah.
Yeah, ripping them out of the magazines.
Yeah, yeah, and like I remember like I would like take the pictures and like try to like get to like the seam, you know, of the book, and then like try
Exacto knife.
to exactly knife it, and then like put it in like a page protector. You're like, yes, this is good. Yes.
Sometimes I would buy two magazines. So one would be for like a collage and one you would just have.
Yeah.
Yes, collages. Oh my gosh.
And then
Yeah.
that was Backstreet Boys like prime, obviously.
Yeah.
They were just everywhere. So I'd be ripping out like advertisements from newspapers.
Right.
Yes.
And like we'd be like walking through the mall and then I'd be like, Mom, we need to go to this furniture store. And she'd be like, why? And I'd be like, we need to go in there. And she'd be like, oh my Christ, Backstreet Boys are playing in here. I'm like, yep, we're walking around till the song's over.
Yep.
Oh, we used to import magazines. Remember German
Used to go to
magazines?
chapters, and they used to have all these international magazines.
Yes, and we're just like, oh my God, there's like a new picture of them. Oh my
They'd
God.
have like way better photo shoots.
They
there.
did, yeah. Those Europeans.
International magazines?
Yeah.
So for the European ones, yeah. We also
I
have a
was
friend
still
who
like,
was like Polish, and her grandmother would always give them to her, and then we would like, so we'd be like reading it. I'm like, I have no idea what any of this is,
But I'm loving the pic.
they'd be like little, like almost like little comics with the boys.
Yes.
Like they would be like acting something out, and there would be like subtitles and stuff. I'm like, I have no idea what any of this
It
means.
was good. It was weird though.
Yeah.
that I was still 10 then, so like everything was so new, and like I'm still not aware, I don't think, of everything that was so different in other countries because I was so young
Right.
Mhm.
at the time. But like it's still interesting. Like I didn't know anything about the Polish magazines or the I mean, I think I've seen most of the photo shoots, but magazine wise, you just, like I said, don't know the difference between countries when you don't live there.
Yeah.
And there used to be like do you remember the CD that was shaped like Nick Carter and he was wearing the green?
Yes,
Mhm.
Yeah. What was
that was the early era though, right?
Was it? Yeah, it was like super early. And then it wasn't the interactive CD that like only certain computers could work on. You're like, oh my
Yes.
god, this is mine. Yeah.
Wasn't that the Backstreet's Back album though? Because I remember that we had a really shitty computer.
Yeah,
and
we
it
have
never
Yes.
worked.
a computer.
Yes,
And then
but there was
I
also the
finally got a good one, and I was like, finally.
It wasn't even like that much, right?
It was nothing exciting.
Yeah, it was like nothing exciting. And you're just like,
But there was
No, it
also
was like-
a Millennium one,
like-
wasn't there?
there was a Millennium CD-ROM I remember buying,
Mm.
and it had like, I think it was like a puzzle, and it was like dinky. It was so dinky, but it also came with something else, and I don't remember. But I remember it was a brown box.
Oh, okay.
But
I don't
I
remember.
do remember they used to do things that certain record stores would have different things. Like you could get like stickers or something if you pre-ordered. And
yeah.
I don't know.
yeah,
I remember the Burger King's
Yeah, the
Burger
toy.
King.
action figures or whatever.
Yeah.
yeah, that's confusing kind of, because I feel like Burger King did the Millennium Tour DVD or like CDs and the VHS or whatever, but it was like the black and blue era that it came out,
Yeah. I
Yeah, it
remember.
was strange.
so it's confusing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But
It was
to coincide with
definitely
that
way
comic
at the tail end. Like it was
right.
way after most things had come out. They had released the one, which was essentially footage from the
Right.
Millennium Tour.
Yeah.
Right. I guess it kind of coincided with like you knew Black and Blue was coming. It's just so funny to think, like, it's so funny to think that Millennium was released in 99 and Black and Blue was released in 2000, right? 2001.
about 2000, November
But,
2000.
like, to think about, like, this tour is still going on in one year and then they release an album in the next year. Like, to think about that now, like, because we're like, well, why would they do Millennium at the end, right before they released Black and Blue? But like, to think that we already knew what an album was going to be before the end of a tour,
Mm.
knowing what we know now.
It's not.
It
Those
was
were the days,
times,
eh?
right? It was
Right.
the times where it was just like, go, go, go.
Wasn't
You
the
can't.
Millennium album
Slow
the
down.
one that broke the record for
Why are you bringing this up?
What?
saying that they sold 1 million albums in a week? Did they not? That was a
Mhm.
very good.
Yeah.
They did
Broke
accomplish
that
it.
record. Yuck. Of course. I'm like, Jen's gotta put in sync.
She's gotta
She's
say
gotta
it.
talk about the Chris.
Somebody move the camera to cut Chinzia out, please. Thank you.
But they were the first boy band to sell 1.1 million albums.
Yes, they were.
And then
The
NSYNC
first.
fans cheated and broke an organic record that happened naturally.
How did they cheat?
True.
They cheated because they were just like, we're going to beat the Backstreet Boys. And that's why they
I
did
don't
it.
think that's at all what happened, but okay.
We'll
So
have a
like,
debate on a
still
next
have one.
podcast.
You what?
What?
We'll have a debate on a
We'll have a debate.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is that Millennium sold 24 million worldwide albums.
And we've had this debate before.
And-
Yeah, we've had a good space.
And again, Millennium set the standard for like
Exactly.
boy bandery.
It really
Like,
did.
I mean, even to the point where it got spoofed by, was it Sum 41? No. Blink 182.
Blinking, yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
and like, that ended up being one of their most popular songs.
Millennium was the first album that was inarguably popular in the US. And they shut down Times Square. And did NSYNC even shut down Times Square? I don't know. I don't think so. Did they?
Not that I recall.
You know what? If they did, they
Millennium's
did it
the first
second.
#1 album they had in the States.
Yes.
Well, and then like you were saying, like much music or whatever did the
Yeah.
whole day of Backstreet or whatever. That's kind of what MTV did with Millennium. They had Millennium TV, which was playing on loop
Ooh.
on the last cruise. I think everybody saw on
Yeah.
loop.
Mhm.
Well,
and then like
everyone who was there saw it.
Yeah.
oh yeah, sorry.
I was bored. I'm sorry.
Most of us.
Okay.
You can just pretend you were there.
Do you think that they're gonna do cruises again after all this? I hope so.
Let's not bring up this trauma.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I do want to talk about cruises eventually, but
We're not there yet. We're not there yet. Let's move into the black and blue era because
Did we finish
now
Millennium though?
I don't know. Do you have any final thoughts?
The white album, the white
I just think-
costumes were sick, and even their white shoes. I was like, oh, those are hard to find. You know, I have white
Everything
pants.
about the Millennium era was just so pristine and like so well done. Like
So many amazing songs.
Yeah,
It's far and away their prime. I don't think anyone would deny that.
yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And that was like the Swedish influence, you know? Like that was when they really like did the Max Martin and the Dennis Pop
And that's when Max Martin like became known and people were like, shit, you gotta go to this guy. Like because he
You know how much his songs
putting
cost?
out bangers.
yeah.
100,000.
So then you had Black and Blue, and I remember like
No,
that
10,000.
was the first one. Are you ready to move Black and Blue?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, yeah, let's go.
I'm ready.
That was the first one that I did buy on the release date. Like I remember being like, "Oh, I've got it," because we were going out of town the next day, and I only had a cassette player, like a personal cassette player. So I was like, "I've got to burn it to a cassette before we leave."
Oh my God, that's so funny.
So yeah, but like I hate that it was the first album that I bought like on the release date because it's like also an album that I don't have good vibes about. Like
Thank
looking
you.
back.
Okay, yes.
Well, that era was like sad.
Yeah.
That's
know.
when
A lot
like
of shit
AJ started.
A lot of shit happened in the
Like-
black and blue era.
Okay, like explain because I don't
Like AJ had to go to rehab.
Okay.
Brian
I
got
think
married.
that's Brian, but then isn't that also the era where Brian gets his heart surgery?
No, Brian got
No, that was 98.
in 98.
Oh, okay. Well, see,
Oh.
shows what I know.
I remember that.
But yeah, I just remember like Millennium being like the cream rise to the surface. You're like, yeah,
Like they were
and black and blue.
It was fun
Yeah.
times.
Yeah.
And then black and blue is kind of like sad and depressing.
Yeah, and
They
just,
still sold 15 million albums.
no, I know, but
I
like,
definitely think it was meant to be darker and like more mature
Right.
to show
Right.
like a growth because the fan base is now getting a little bit older,
yeah,
right?
True.
Right. But I think that there was first of all, I think that they were a little bit, you know how like you're like, you can tell an age difference sometimes. And then like, sometimes we all like even out. Like right now, I feel like we're all kind of at the same point in life. But like, at that point, I feel like they were a little bit older than us.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And so, like I was 11 and they were like dark. They were like doing on video sets. Like,
Yeah, the call video was like, wow, okay.
yeah, and I feel like they wanted to do something different
But it
than
was
like
tough.
their image, you know,
I definitely think they were trying to
hard.
create a more mature image and like branch out to a more mature crowd because yeah, I mean, sure, I was only 15, but you know, you're getting a bit older, right? And I think certain people were starting to drop off. I remember that's when some of my friends were like, oh, I don't like the Backstreet Boys anymore.
Yeah.
Like real bands who play real instruments and play real music. And I was like, excuse me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard that too.
Just because that's just as you mature, you know, the
brain.
The adults thing, you want to be mature, you want to be cool, you want to be like, you know.
Don't do it, guys. Being adults sucks.
Looking back on it now, I feel like they were probably burnt out. And you know how you start trying to reinvent yourself when you burn out and you think, okay, I'm going to feel better if I do this. Because the album itself is not terrible. No. But it's like it's all over the place. And I feel like they were trying to do something different to inspire themselves. And it just like when I watch the interviews, it's just a bad vibe. Like it's just they seem really
breakout
tired.
with Lou, or when did
it was actually also the first album after Lou.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
and I wish they would have done more with the 100 hours around the world thing.
That was a great idea.
What was that?
I feel like that was such a cool thing for like it not to be a big deal thing.
Candles and shit?
No,
Okay.
so that was the airplane. They had their own airplane, said Backstreet Boys. They flew around the world in 100
in
hours.
100 hours. So they like stopped in like Australia and Germany and like.
They had a bathroom.
They
on
went
the
to
airplane,
Rio.
I'm
It's a
assuming.
plane.
Okay,
Yes,
good.
there was a
Planes have
bathroom.
bathrooms.
Okay, well, hold
Private
on.
plane.
Without Lou? Was this Lou's plane?
No.
Lou had nothing to do with this.
They rented the
Please,
plane.
well,
I think the
no.
label rented it or something.
Yeah, they were still on Jive, right?
Yeah.
Was it like a F you to Lou? Like, we don't need your airplanes, ho. Like,
Maybe.
Well, they
boy,
just had it for
I
that
don't know.
one day, so I
I
don't.
definitely think they remember we read that Rolling Stone article, and
Yeah.
I think Black and Blue was anticipated to be like this huge
Yeah.
thing. And so the record label and people were willing to put in big money to
Yeah.
promote this album because the expectations for it were enormous. Because as certain
Millennial.
people mentioned,
yeah.
their record got broken. So they
Yeah.
were like, well, we're going to break that record,
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
And then it didn't.
Mm.
And so even though it was still a huge success, it was considered a failure. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Okay.
But
Well, and I feel like the media really kind of shit on them at
Yeah.
that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like, because you know
I
how
feel
you're talking
like-
about your friends kind of pulled away. I feel like media kind of went with that trend.
I feel like it was more like they were more towards NSYNC than Backstreet Boys at that time.
Totally.
The media, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
sort of.
The album was still #1 in Canada and the US. So
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's so nice.
It was by no means a failure. I just think for them it was. And I think that their relationship with each other was really fragmented at the time.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you had AJ being drunk, you had Brian and Kevin who were newly married, you had
Yeah.
Nick who didn't know what he was doing, and then Howie with his Jesus hair. So like,
You gotta figure, at this time, Kevin's like 28 and Nick's 19. Like,
Yeah.
you're at such different points in your life
Yeah. That's
at
true.
those ages that it's just like hard to relate.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Especially when Kevin's married and thinking about starting a family, and Nick's like a dumbass
Well-
19-year-old.
and then you also
Yeah.
have the pressure with Nick because Justin Timberlake was going solo. So like
Right.
Nick
Yeah.
wanted to go solo, and I think that caused a lot of, as we know now, it did cause a lot of rifts in the band.
Mhm.
Did it?
Yeah. I mean, you watched the documentary.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
it's been a while.
Well, it's okay. Well, I remember
did
like
Nick's
Nick
first
and
solo
Brian
album
fighting in the
2003.
documentary, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or did it come out in 2002?
What?
Well,
What?
Nick's solo album, first one.
2002.
I thought it was fire, to be honest. I loved it.
About
It must have been
There were
late
some good songs
2002.
on there.
But why didn't it take off? What do you think?
I don't know.
I'm like,
that was
You're tragic.
I'm like, well, she
No,
got
I
shade, so
actually
much she's
thought
choking
it's
on
not
it.
shade, sorry.
Okay,
Right.
wow, okay. I don't know, yeah.
I don't know, but I'm glad that it didn't. I'm glad we got it. And I think it's great, but I'm glad he didn't become a douchebag like certain
Do you
others.
think he would have, though?
I don't know.
No.
At that time, maybe because there was a rift. We talked about this before.
Was this during
At
the
that
Paris
time,
Hilton
It
era?
might have happened because there was a rift.
Okay.
Here's the thing, though.
I don't know.
Was he dating Paris at the time?
No, that wasn't until, like,
not at the
11.
time that it came out. No. it was
Willow
after.
Ford? Willow
Just for a thing. So Black and Blue came out in 2000. The next album didn't come out to 2005.
Right.
So there's
Correct.
5 years in there where stuff happened.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
Is this the time period where people say that they broke up for a year and a half?
Pretty
Yeah.
much.
Yes.
But they've never really broken up.
No.
As we like to say.
No.
This is where they were kind of like pursuing their own.
But
thing,
there was a big
family
rift
and
because
stuff.
Nick did his solo album on Jive, and they had tried so hard to get away from Jive. And honest to God, I feel like Jive screwed him over. I feel like, because I think that
Mhm.
Justin Timberlake's album was also with Jive, and I think that they pit them against each other.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And JC's album was also
On
supposed to
Jive.
come on. and
Yeah.
They just promoted Justin.
JC's was
This
really
is the
bad.
thing. Okay, not to bring it back to Serial Joe, but do you remember Serial Joe?
Yes.
They were with the same record label, and the record label's like, we're gonna either push Serial Joe or Sum 41. And they're like, fuck Serial Joe, we're gonna push Sum 41. And then Sum 41 got all the attention, and now we all know who they are. And Serial Joe,
They pretty much broke up after that. because-
yeah, pretty much,
So
yeah.
like record
Yeah.
labels
Yeah.
can really make or break.
It sucks though, right? Because
Yeah.
each of these guys are talented in their own right. But like,
Mhm.
it's like, what, they
If
didn't
they
have the
don't have the
budget?
backing,
Or
then
what?
they don't-
I
Budget.
think if you're asking me, because I think you're right, I think considering that all like Justin and Nick were on the same label and going for the same thing.
They were young and hot.
They were the star of their groups, however you want to say that. Justin chose the right track. Justin chose to go like more R&B, hip hop, urban, whereas Nick chose to go more of a rock vibe, and it probably didn't go as well with his fans. Like his fans probably would have gone more,
And music is cyclical too, right?
It's
so
true.
certain music.
But that was just like what he was feeling and like was right for himself at the time.
And as an artist, you get to choose.
But I also think Nick
picked wrong.
I think Nick also has a connection with Backstreet where he wasn't, I don't think he was ever interested in being solo only.
No.
I think Justin was.
That's
and
true.
I think that he kind of self-sabotaged. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Why?
Interesting.
Well, I think
like
that Backstreet Boys, right? So they were kind of more of his like father figures and brothers and stuff like that. So I feel like he was more connected.
There's
to
more of a
the group
family vibe.
than where Justin was more like.
And he
started out at Mickey Mouse Club. He did his own thing. He was solo.
He was always
before he
solo,
became
kind
that.
of.
And then, and obviously the Backstreet Boys are more harmonizing and stuff together. There wasn't really like a main standout. Whereas with NSYNC, they pushed JC and Justin, and mostly Justin, right? So
well, and they've come out and said, Brian's come out and said that him and Nick didn't talk at that point because he was mad because Nick was on the label. So if you think about like Brian being Nick's father figure and he doesn't have that support from one of his father figures for like his solo endeavors, you're gonna kind of self-sabotage, right? Like you're gonna kind of feel bad about it. And I think because Nick's talked about now how he like is kind of embarrassed of what a failure now or never was, but like I feel like it was mental. I mean,
he was also.
I don't know. Yeah.
He was. You like it. He's come out and
he
said
says he hates it.
that he hates it.
I love like help.
Yeah.
I used to play it like on loop all the time.
He said
I
he
wanna
only
know-
3 songs on that album.
right. I want to know that if he hates the album though, or he hates like where that era takes him in his mind. You know what I mean?
I also have to figure that was like a really dark time for him, right? Like,
Yeah, it's a really dark time for all of us.
he had gained a lot of weight and wasn't happy with himself. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
His
So
own
Was
family,
that, was that the
Yeah.
Paris thing?
Paris was kind of right
Paris
after
was later.
that, but it's all part of it, right?
Paris
It all
was
adds
when they
up
were
to
doing
this
Never
grand
Gone,
scheme of
which
things.
we're about to get to.
Oh,
Yes.
okay, sorry.
So we can move into that now. So
Never Gone.
I will admit this. I definitely thought they were broken up. I definitely thought I would never get another new.
Oh,
Backstreet
can we
Boys
talk
album.
about like in between when they went on Oprah because they started to mend the fences
Yeah.
because AJ went to rehab and he was better. So she got like I guess it was Brian who got the ball rolling. He called the other
Yeah.
guys and was like, "Okay, let's go on Oprah." And then Oprah is magical.
Is that also the same period when Rosie O'Donnell and they were on that, or is that different then?
That was probably Millennium and Black and
That was
Blue.
Black and Blue.
Yeah, Black.
Is this when I met Howie for the first time?
I don't know.
I think it is. Because I
Possibly.
feel like because
Here's the
the
thing.
boys weren't really doing anything, and then Howie was doing Dero Lupus stuff,
The Lupus
right?
Foundation.
Yeah.
So then I
You're
went
doing a lot of DLF stuff. I feel like between Black and Blue and Never Gone, there was a lot. That was when like the internet was growing, I feel like,
Mhm.
because I remember keeping up with them. So it was never really an occurrence to me that they were breaking up, but they were doing a bunch of solo stuff. Like Brian had Healthy Heart and Howie had DLF and AJ was like, he was doing the Johnny No Name thing then, remember?
Yeah,
And like he was out of rehab, but yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And then Nick was doing his solo. So it was like everybody was kind of doing something. So it was like that was their excuse. Like, oh, we're not broken up, but we're doing all the solo stuff.
I guess because NSYNC had broke up and a lot of like 9 Degrees and whatever. And I was just like, okay, that's it. It's done now.
Well, and then Brian had Bailey, and it's like nobody had kids in a boy band, you know?
It was always hush hush, right?
And Joey Fatone had one.
Yeah, I did.
Sorry.
Did Kevin have children at this point or not yet?
No.
Okay.
No.
Is he wearing dresses at this point?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
well.
Yeah, he did for during Black and Blue era.
Okay. Because I remember that was the thing.
So yeah.
Okay.
And then so there's the big gap, and then
So they never had like an official like we're broken up or whatever. Everyone was just kind of just doing their own things at the time.
Yeah.
So because of the Oprah interview, they decided to get back together into the studio and do Never Gone.
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah. So they did Never Gone, and we bought that.
Absolutely. we bought it. I was in college.
I'll tell you exactly how I remember this, because in my mind, that was it. And like they weren't going to make any new music. And so sometimes when because at this point in 2005, I'm like 19, 20, like I'm like full idiot party mode girl, you know? And so I'm just like getting drunk and listening to the greatest hits in my room, like,
I know.
I'm never going to see them again. Which is
They did release the greatest hits right after Black and Blue, right?
Yeah, they did chapters 1 and they had
They
the
did Drowning. Yeah.
This was a good album, though. It had a lot of good songs on it. Like they weren't like bangers, but they were like emotional. You know what I mean? Like this
Incomplete was a good first single.
Yeah.
Right.
No.
And we've talked about this with people. I've talked about this with people before. I always forget Never Gone for some reason. But like as an album, I'm like, oh, it's forgettable. But then I look at the track listing. I'm like, oh, I really do like a lot of these songs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're very like
I still is on this one.
So anyways.
Yeah, I still's on this.
That's a good music video.
I was thinking it was over. I was like, okay, it's done. And I was out at a bar for my friend's birthday. And like, so friend of a friend situation, we both used to be Backstreet Boys fans back in the day. And she was like, did you hear? The Backstreet Boys have a new song. And I was like, shut up. And I was like, you actually heard it? Like, it's actually a new song? And she was like, yeah. And she was like, go like download it. It's called Incomplete. Like some radio DJ like leaked it, like la la la.
Yes, I remember that.
Oh, I remember that.
And I was like, okay. And then I forgot about it because, you know.
You're drunk.
And then like a week later, I was like, oh shit. Remember Anne-Marie told me that thing, right? So I'm like, it's April, it's exam season. I'm like hardcore chained to my computer studying, you know, writing essays. But I'm just like, let me download this in the background, right? So you put it on my LimeWire, you know, doing my thing. And it finally finishes downloading. I opened it up. And the first few notes like came and I like actually heard AJ's voice and I was like, it's real. And I like, paused it. I went to my room, locked the door so no one could come in and bother me. And I was like, I like put headphones on. I'm like, nothing can spoil this moment.
Oh my God.
And then literally in the middle of it, my roommate was like, what are you doing? And I'm like, shut up.
That's funny.
Why is the door locked? I'm like, I'm busy.
Oh my God, yeah.
Come back in an hour.
Oh my God.
That's funny.
That's too funny.
That's hilarious.
There we go.
I was teaching vacation Bible school and I was like, hurry up, I gotta go to Target. Like I just wanted it to end. And I remember my friend had a convertible at the time and we blasted it in the neighborhood.
Yes. Oh, that's a good feeling.
But that was that era. That was a weird tour. Like I feel like the wardrobe for that tour and like the setup, I don't know.
Yeah, it was
A boxing ring one, or is that a different?
No.
that's unbreakable.
What was the wardrobe like? Can you think of
I vividly remember Kevin wearing cargo pants and like
So maybe there wasn't really a
short cargo pants. And then that was the first era that Howie had cut his hair. So I was like, all right. And then that was when Nick started wearing like all of his camo stuff, I feel like. I don't know if he had before or I just wasn't paying attention, but like.
Remember when he was like doing drums at some of the concerts?
He kind of always did that.
Did he? Okay.
But
The Never Gone was when they had that set where Kevin would sit down at the piano and they would all sit around it.
Mm.
That's also when they started doing sound check parties.
Oh, yes.
Is this when we met them?
no.
No.
That was the first time I had met them because my friend had won the sound check party and they forgot to come get us. So they were like, oh, well, we'll just let you meet them.
But But they weren't
But it was
really
very,
selling
very much.
music at that
So this
time,
is like
right?
you win it or
Yeah,
No,
you
it
could
was
only
just a
win it through the
soundtrack.
fan club at that point.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
And wasn't it just a sound check? Like it wasn't even actually
Yeah,
really
that's like it was a sound check, and they like sometimes they did Q&A, sometimes they didn't, and then like they would all like gather at the front of the stage at the end, and you could take a picture of them.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and everybody was so hype about it, and it was just
and then looking back now, you're like, that's so dumb.
I know.
yeah, and then that was like the first tour where I don't know, like Bailey was little bitty, and I feel like,
And he had his own little microphone and like
yes, that was the cutest thing I think that came out of soundcheck party, was that he had his little cute microphone stand, and that's when people were posting like little short videos online. I feel like that was the first tour that we could see other people's like media from concerts.
Mm-hmm.
That was the first tour I feel like was really like pictures were allowed, you know?
And for me, that was not at a concert, but it was the first time I ever got close enough to them where I could not only see them, but they could see me, which I think, that's the dream, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
You go to see them in concert, and that's super fucking exciting, and you lose your mind. I definitely lost my mind, but then it's like, okay, I've been there, we've all breathed the same oxygen.
Right.
Now
Remember breathing?
remember breathing around other people. Anyway,
Oh my gosh.
If it wasn't a concert, where did you see them up close?
at Much Music.
Oh.
Because at this time, they've now ripped off the MTV TRL format.
Yes.
And they had something called...
Is that when they installed the glass door that opened up?
No, it was a daily show. It was a daily countdown thing.
Okay.
And it started off with, Rick the
The
10.
environment.
Oh, I love Rick
Is that it?
But then it went to like that blonde chick, Leah something.
Oh.
Sarah.
Yes, yeah.
Matt Babel was on it.
Remember the blonde chick with the long hair?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Sarah, sorry.
No, it was Leah.
Leah, okay.
It was called...
I know what you're talking about. I forget.
I know what you're talking about too. Yeah.
It was exactly like TRL though, but they called it something else.
Is that when you can like vote?
Yes.
Yes, I remember like, yeah, I remember that.
Oh yeah.
All into voting.
I don't remember what it was called, but I recall what you're talking about.
And I love voting for Backstreet.
I know me too.
I remember that the only way to get on this show, you went to it many times too, because that's where you would have seen Howie, and that's where you would have seen like CJ and all that thing. What was that
CJ.
called?
I have no idea.
Okay, never mind. It had a name. Someone in the comments write to me what the name is, and then I'm going to be like, yes, that's
It's
it.
like
Or it will come
Canadian
to me.
music history.
No, it was like TRL stands for Total Request Live, and this was like something very similar to that. It had an acronym, and it stood for like Daily Music Countdown or some crap like that.
Sound nicer. More hip.
And so, anyways,
Yeah,
and
because we were in Toronto a lot during this time, Chinzia.
they
We probably
went
were there.
to, we also, similar to MTV, had Much Music Video Awards.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
MMVAs.
And MVA's Much Music Video Arts. That's good times.
And then they came to that, and the next day they were on this show. And so the only way you could get on was that you had to call and leave a voicemail.
Yes.
And they were like, if we get back to you, then you're on the show. And if you don't, you're not.
Stupid.
And so I was just like leaving this voicemail, like, yes, please, can you and more than a day passed, I think. And I was like, nobody's calling me back.
Oh.
And then this woman called me back and she was like, yes, okay, we have you on the list. Like, la la. And I was like, holy shit.
What?
And then, so I actually saw them and like they could see me. And I remember like AJ signed my friend's like little insert of the album thing. And I touched Kevin's hand and we were like, I was like, I touched a Backstreet Boy. Like,
that was going back to Black and Blue.
And they used to call it MOD.
Oh,
Yes.
That's it.
I knew what you're talking about, but I forgot the name.
Say it.
Remember in the Black and Blue tour when they had that the bridge that went over the audience?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. Kevin looked down at me and I threw up immediately after because I was so excited.
Amazing.
But it's just like, I touched a Backstreet Boy. Like, I actually, like that. We used to joke about it happening. We used to be like, oh, I'll like break through the crowd and touch them, and then I'll get arrested, and they'll have to like drag me away, and like, this is how the only way we thought we would ever be able to like
wash this hand.
touch them. And like 2005 rolls around, and I'm just like, you know?
And you didn't get arrested.
I didn't even have to push anyone. I just put my hand out, and he like shook it.
And now the bodyguards tell us to kidnap him. So, you know, like it really is evolved.
It's so funny because I feel like in 2005, like nobody cared. Like I feel like nobody cared about them, and nobody cared if you did it or like whatever. It wasn't cool, you know. Like nobody cared that I met them. But like now, I feel like you get a lot more like, oh my god, I can't believe like they're cool again, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely come back around for sure.
Right. Like I feel like 2005, they were like so accessible.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I like that. I feel like now, well, I mean, pre-pandemic, we had a lot better access to them. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah, totally.
We overcame like a hurdle, and we're just like, yes. And they're like, if you pay us money, you can be near us. I'm like, yes, money.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, this is what I wanted all along. But like,
Well, that's a transition to the next era. I feel.
I was gonna say, it also worked out really well, because if you go into the next era where they're actually selling meet and greets, and that's like, we'll say like Unbreakable and This Is Us is about 2007 to 2010.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm now like into my 20s, you know. I'm at least out of
I was out of
university.
Yep.
I'm working.
I was out of high school.
Oh, you're so young.
Sarah's a baby.
I have disposable income, you know, and I'm like, oh, all you need is money to meet you? Here you go.
Yeah. I feel like it all kind of that came at a good time because, okay, so Never Gone, Kevin pieced out after that. He was like, I'm done.
He wanted to do other things.
Yeah, and so I feel like those two eras they're so underrated because I feel like it kind of knocked them down a few pegs. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
It's like they had to restart and they had to figure out what worked for just the four of them.
Mm-hmm.
And so they did like radio tours, and I feel like that's where so many people got to like have their first interaction. And then, like you said, they started selling meet and greets, and I feel like we were all at a point in our lives where we were like, oh yeah, we can go without mom and dad, you know?
Yeah.
Tickets were reasonable because they really couldn't afford anything. So they were playing like state fairs. And so like you could find something
like $250 on the fan club. I was like, wow, I'm definitely buying
Is
that.
that when we met them the first time?
Yes.
And they were doing the backstage tours, and they were doing them.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, I feel like they got a renewed sense of appreciation for fans at that point. Because it was like, if they didn't have fans at that point, they were not going to be successful in those albums or those tours, and they knew it, you know?
Yeah. And it was like, whoever was still around after all that shit, it was like, holy shit, we really appreciate you.
Right. We should get like badges that said, like, we should get badges that be like, oh, we were there during the Unbreakable and the This Is Us period. Like, we should get like special accommodations for that.
Just go back and be like,
we're like, Eddie, give us our gold pass.
Or like a special cup.
Literally, they could probably go back in their inventory and be like, all right, did you purchase meet and greets for these tours? All right. You are now at this level of fandom now.
Right. Like, let's all get our printed out pictures and like post them.
Yeah.
But I feel like those were I liked those albums. I feel like
there were some really good songs on those albums. I liked them.
Which two albums are we talking about?
Unbreakable and This Is Us.
So 2007 and 2009.
Yeah.
No Kevin.
Easily Unbreakable is my least favorite album. Easily.
Yeah.
But I love This Is Us. This Is Us is one of my favorites. I feel like they were drastically different.
Inconsolable.
Yeah.
I feel like that's spoken like a Nick man.
Yeah, I don't.
Oh, shut up.
I feel like
Unbreakable was so many ballads.
Good ballads. I feel like This Is Us was like Very
Yeah,
niche,
Unbreakable,
very
I
niche
don't
style.
remember.
I like the album cover, but I also feel like
Unmistakable.
I did love.
That's a great song.
I love the
This Is Us.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I love the theme of the tour for This Is Us. I love the movie theme.
The
That
Unbreakable tour was fun
the
too.
boxing ring?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I like
okay,
the boxing ring.
Is the
Mhm.
boxing ring Unbreakable or was the boxing ring This Is Us?
Unbreakable is the
I
boxing
go to
ring.
a couple of
That's what I
concerts
thought.
of this
But
one.
Unbreakable also had that weird homeless moment where they were all standing
Yes,
around
when they
a
were
trash
all around the
can.
garbage can with the fire. What was that?
Yes.
And then that moment where they all sit down to play poker, like, what is happening?
Yeah,
my
that was
God.
show me the meaning of being lonely. I'm like,
I don't-
okay.
It was like,
You're
where's
playing poker,
Kevin?
Sure.
Figures in this one.
Yeah, no. This Is Us. We would know.
Yes.
Unbreakable. We would not know.
Unbreakable,
We didn't
we were
buy that
not
album.
really,
I think, or maybe we did. and we
You
just didn't
did
listen to it.
because that's the first time you met them.
Yes, but we weren't like
You didn't buy the album?
No, we did. We just didn't.
I just
That's
remember
what
that
these
album.
I feel
guys-
like it's because it has. You said it had a lot of slow songs. I
Yeah,
think.
like okay, if you bring up the track listing, Shazia, you're
I
not
don't
gonna remember this
recognize,
one
like,
because
So
like
what happened with
Inconsolable
these
was the first song.
is that they left Backstreet to go to NSYNC.
yes, but it's
Right? Probably around what, 90?
like literally 3 months after I saw Backstreet Boys the first
Okay.
time, and Sync came out. We're like, yes.
And then it wasn't until around 2007, 2008 that they came back to Backstreet. So they missed all this.
so we missed
Ooh.
Unbreakable.
These
You
two.
Those two.
Okay,
Yeah.
so Shazia, look at the track
What are
listing.
you doing here?
Imposter.
No, this is us. 100%.
But I did meet Howie within this time frame as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
It was
You
just
keep
like,
forgetting that you met him though.
Sync had broken up, and then I were like, okay. And then I tricked my mom into going to like a dinner boat cruise with Howie in the Toronto. And then the next year he did like a specialty thing, so we did that. And then my friend and I bid, and we had lunch with him. So that is why Howie is my second favorite, because I feel like I got a lot of good Howie time. And,
during a time when they weren't super
yes,
accessible.
and then he's friends with CJ from 3 Deep,
yes,
and
we all know the story.
he also came to the lunch. It was
Yes.
lovely.
Yes.
And then I knew he was coming, so then I had like this random like 3 Deep CD that I got from like the Beat Goes On for $2.
Nice.
And then he's like, "Oh my God, this is like a rare copy of this. Like, you must be a huge fan." I'm like, "Yes, I am. Yes." So that's
I did not purchase this at the secondhand store.
but yeah. So So and then Howie was doing a lot of stuff in Canada because he was managing like George Nozuka and
Mhm.
Never
things like
experienced
that. So we were kind of following that type of stuff.
Mhm.
Much but then when the first album came back, looking at the track listing is a lot of slow, boring songs that I don't like.
It's
That's
easily
okay.
my least favorite album.
Unbreakable.
Everyone has a
agree.
difference of opinion and
But I
different.
love This Is Us.
Yeah, This Is
Even
Us.
though This Is Us
Great.
has some absolutely trash songs, it's either trash or amazing in my
Treasure,
opinion.
treasure.
How do we feel about the Straight Through the Heart?
I feel like I kind of
Oh,
combined
love
it in my mind.
That's a vampire one.
Yeah.
Oh, fucking love
Maybe
it.
that's what led
Love that song.
Serenade.
But Kevin wasn't in the band.
Yes.
No, that was
Maybe he
during
was like,
Twilight,
I didn't get to
Cynthia.
be in this music video.
No,
so
no.
they make a really shitty vampire.
They did this vampire music video because Twilight was popular at the time.
Mhm, yeah,
It was good. Hey, I ain't complaining. That was a banger song.
Bigger?
It's great.
that was a good song.
I loved Bigger. Bigger is one of my favorite songs.
Bigger is a good song. That
Like-
song was a lot of fun, actually. I
I
enjoyed that.
feel like if they go ahead.
I remember actually hearing Straight Through My Heart and being like, son of a bitch, they did it.
They
They're
did
gonna
it,
be
Right? Yes.
This is it. And obviously they weren't. But I was like, they did it.
But I feel like had they released that in like Black and Blue era, I feel like Black and Blue would have done better.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
I feel like if they have had the backing to do whatever
Yeah.
then.
Mhm.
But I feel like if they combined Unbreakable and This Is Us, they would have a hot album. You know what I mean? Because there are songs that I could take or leave on both.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There are some good ballads. So, and then what is on This Is Us? Like, there's She's a Dream on there. And
I
I mean,
hate that song so much, and I let them
Me
know.
too.
Oh my
You
god,
know,
let them know.
You like it, Diane?
no.
Oh,
That's one of
What do you
my.
mean, got cable?
That is
No
my
thanks.
least favorite song of theirs.
I hate it. I hate it.
In New York, I think, how much she hated it or something.
Yes, at the Highland Ballroom. That's where I met Janae and Cheryl for the first time in 2010.
Yeah, like what a
And
trash song.
it was so bad.
What?
The question was, what's your least favorite song? So I kept like yelling it in the front row. Say she's a dream.
My God.
Yeah, that was a good worst song. But then
Speaking
Howie
of
didn't even
2010,
realize that he co-wrote it. So I was like, okay, I don't feel
And I
bad.
think there's
Howie
some
forgets he writes so many things.
Isn't
Yeah.
that the one that they collabed with Pitbull or somebody?
I think it was T-Pain.
I was
Yes.
gonna say.
Okay,
T-Pain.
Pitbull,
I knew it was some dog.
just quality music.
T-Pain.
T-Pain's not a dog. Never mind. Forget me.
Huh?
T-Pain and Mr. Pyro.
Okay, so Pitbull is innocent.
But I feel like it was Nick who was like, "We collabed with T-Pain. It's gonna be so great." And that song is shit.
And I was like,
I mean,
no.
at the time,
No,
T-Pain-
not at the time. It's a terrible song. We're
It's
done.
horrible. One
We're
of the
done
worst
here.
songs they've ever
no,
done.
I'm not saying at the time the song was good. I'm saying at the time T-Pain was good.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
but like he was like, I wrote this song for the Backstreet Boys and it's terrible.
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly
that
what
has to be
T-Pain
what it was, because what?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you know what fabulous thing happened in 2010, friends?
NKOT BSB?
No.
Was it?
That
Oh,
came
No, that's
slightly after.
2011.
The very first Backstreet Boys cruise.
Oh, yeah.
Charter, and that was fabulous. And Lydia hated it.
I was
but
almost
loved it.
able
It
to
was
go
not-
to that, but 2 weeks before my dad passed away, so I could not go.
Yes, that was very sad.
That was very sad.
Yeah. Sorry to dampen the spirit there.
No, no, it's okay.
But
No,
I got Brian and Leanne to record messages for Sophia, so we
Yeah,
had that.
yeah.
That's
That was
nice.
very nice of you.
And we
Yeah.
got to live on the Leonardo DiCaprio deck.
Okay, listen.
With the
that's-
motors going wah, and I was like, no windows. I'm like, I hate this.
It's
And she's
just like
like,
a second.
we gotta go. AJ's eating the buffet. We need to watch him eat. I'm just like, this
I
sucks.
don't know where you think this happened.
It's
but okay,
different.
sure. But anyways, well, the good thing about the 2010 cruise is that it was their very first cruise and it was a half charter. So half of us were like Backstreet fans and half were just regular people.
Normies.
So we did everything together. So we were just like, so all of the events were all done together. So you never felt like you were missing out on something fun that's happening with the other group, right?
Yeah.
But I also feel like there was other parts that weren't like the greatest. Like Brian had brought Bailey and Leanne, obviously, on the cruise. And there was a game show where you could win to have them serenade you on stage during the final concert.
Oh, yeah.
So like it's one song of serenation.
Come
That's
on,
it.
dude.
So they get there, and then everybody else is singing to the girl, no problem. Howie's girl, I think, was it Howie's? Didn't want Howie to sing to her. It was either Howie's or I can't remember.
It might have been
One of them did not want Howie to sing, or whoever they were with to sing. So she's like ignoring him while he's trying to sing to her. And Brian, instead of singing to the girl, kept pointing to his wedding ring and pointing to his wife in the audience. And we're just like, what the heck is going on? But good things was that they had a Q&A session, and we'd gone to 1 or 2 sound checks at that point. So we know the Q&A is like 3 questions or something, right? This was like a good half hour, 45 minutes of like anything goes. And there were so many like hilarious, like I actually ran out of like memory card trying to, we should find those and upload them.
Yeah.
There's some good videos. But anyways, my favorite comment was, Howie, what is your favorite thing about, what's the best thing about Kevin not being in the band right now? Because he wasn't in the band at this point, right? Had he come back?
Correct.
Yeah, so Kevin's not there.
Oh, yeah.
So like, what is your favorite thing about Kevin not being here? And everyone's like, that's a weird question. And Howie's like, I get to sing! And he was so excited.
That was hilarious.
Good for you, Howie. And then other people are like, what's your favorite thing about Lou Pearlman? And they're like, Lou sucks, blah, blah. And then Howie's like, his house was amazing. There was all this cool stuff and it was great. And then
Someone
somebody
in
in
the
the crowd's
audience-
like, you paid for it. And then it was just like, it was just hilarious. And they had like a beach party and there was like a lot of
There
fun
was some
stuff.
fun parts.
So
in
there
it.
were fun parts, but also I feel like they didn't really know what they were doing. So they're also could maybe not as interactive.
Because I mean, when you think about what the new kids were doing, massages and chocolate.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Putting
They were
my
definitely
clothes off. Yes,
very
please.
more PG, the Backstreet Boy cruise.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then we went on, they've done 6 in total. We've been on 4. I've been on 4 of them. And then all the ones since
And
then
I've been
were
on
full
Twitter.
So good times.
Full charters. Yay.
I've been on one and that's how they quit.
Oh.
It's okay. Lydia's only been on one.
I only
She
been on one
quit
too,
also.
so yeah.
I will
like,
say, I feel like, not to go on a tangent, but I do feel like, from what I've heard, I feel like the last one was a good one to go on.
It was, right? 'Cause they had the
In my opinion, of the 3 that I've been on, and I can't speak to the other ones, it was the best one that I've been on.
That's what I heard from a lot of people. I was like,
That's
well,
good.
because the
All of
premiere.
them were good, but yeah, I would say the last one was like the
You
best.
know what? None of us were on the Euro one, so
Yeah.
we don't know. But
So
that's
what?
jumping
The
the Euro
2014
cruise.
one we weren't on because Lydia was having her second year.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
We did the
I feel like-
2010, 11, 13, and 18. Cruises are
Okay,
fun.
so what era are we in?
Now we're on NKOT.
Loved it. So excited when that was announced, and so many people were not excited when that was announced.
I know.
I was
I was-
not excited
I was so
either.
excited.
Not excited at all.
I
I was
think
like,
I was
oh,
the
yeah,
one.
the price of one. Yes.
Correct me if
But
I'm
then I
wrong. I
enjoyed it.
think I was I the only one that was going to New Kids concerts when they came back before? Did any of you go to?
Yeah,
I
we
went,
did
I
go.
went to one because Olivia took me.
Oh.
She took me to the casino tour when they were doing casino tours.
Yes.
So we drove.
By the time that I had gone, or they had announced NKOT BSB, I had gone to 5 or 6 of the New Kid shows.
Ooh.
And they were such a good time that I was so excited about like Backstreet getting something from them. Because don't get me wrong, I love the Unbreakable and the This Is Us era. But it felt like they like were trying too hard, kind of sometimes a little bit. It felt kind of gimmicky. Because I feel like they felt kind of out of the loop. You know what I mean? Like they didn't know what was going to work. So having been to the New Kids concerts, I was like, yes, because everything was such a party, you know? And I feel like that kind of did translate to the NKOT BSB tour. I feel like it was just a fun time.
I loved it. It's great. It was like
Easy
9
and-
guys on that penis stage.
Oh,
and it was like,
Yeah.
Oh, and then just getting slaps with boys. I'm like, yes, yes. That was good.
Sophia would always sit down during the New Kids parts until
I didn't like the slow songs. It was like
fair.
it was too slow. But I loved the fast songs.
Yeah.
But by the last show that I went to, I stood for the whole show of theirs. So
I was not excited. I was like, this is BS. They don't need to go on tour with New Kids. Nobody wants to see New Kids. New Kids are so old. Who cares? Blah, blah, blah. Like I was not
That's
that.
clearly because you had not seen a New Kids concert. Because when I went to the casino tour,
Well, yes.
I was there and I was watching this concert, and then I was just like, if I become a millionaire and win the lottery, I want a boy band to follow me around at all times, like breaking out into song and serenading me. Like the New Kids concert was so good, and it was like a shitty setup.
So
It was a
good.
casino.
Plus, I
So
also
the moral of the story is they won me over and I enjoy the New Kids on the Block.
I also hated them, remember, because of my grade 2 trauma.
Oh my god!
What?
I have trauma from grade 2
Explain the trauma.
of when I wanted to just read with my reading buddy, and she was some delinquent, and she just wanted to listen to New Kids on the Block, and then she made me listen to it instead of reading, and she was like, sing along, and I was like, I don't want to. And she was like, come on. And she was like, you can do it. You can be like, oh. And I was like, I just want to read books.
Oh no.
my God.
And then I was like, I hate New Kids on the Block.
We didn't
So
start.
So really, you hated the lady, not New Kids.
In
This
conclusion,
was the
Diane
tour
is
that
not
I
a
flew
fun
to
time either.
Vegas. My first time flying to Vegas.
What's that?
This was the tour, my first time flying to Vegas. And my first backstage tour.
There you
Ooh.
go.
Very nice.
I liked the song they did together. I was like, yes, don't turn off the
Yeah.
lights. I'm like, why aren't more boy bands just getting together and recording music together? Please do
I
this,
just-
and not for some aid thing.
I
Just
feel
yeah, no, not AIDS, aiding, like a hurricane or like some sort of like earthquake or something. It's like,
Oh, and they were also on that award show.
Yeah.
Award show. They did an awesome dance.
Didn't Lydia was talking about sexy disasters? What? You don't remember that?
Yes.
A sexy disaster.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyways, moving on. Sorry.
I remember that.
Okay.
Anyways,
She wanted them to do some kind of collab, and she's like, maybe it'll have to be for something bad will have to happen. And then, we're like, so you want like something bad to happen? She's like, no, but like a sexy disaster.
Terrible.
Oh my
I
God.
feel like
exploding. You're like, oh, that's unfortunate. Like a volcano. You're like, oh, that sucks.
Like a tsunami, right? Tsunami.
No. Like sexy disaster. Because slow.
and then they'll be like, what's hotter than a lava burst? A boy band.
Boy bands can help with the lava flow. Mwah.
Yeah.
So BSB was like, I think it ended up being good for everyone, even though some of us were not super hype about it in the beginning.
But it was interesting to watch the crowd to see, like, you could be like, okay, those are the New Kids fans.
You can tell, yeah.
Especially at the beginning of the tour versus
yeah.
the end of the tour, you can definitely see some
Transitions.
They won me
definitely
over,
people
so
that
I
were
appreciated
absolutely-
Yeah.
There were people that were absolutely unwilling to like budge. And I feel like those are the people who like just want attention from the boy band they like. You know what I mean?
They don't
Like,
have an
they're-
open mind.
Right. The
More than
people
a
that
love,
would be
not
mad
love.
about it were the ones who were like, oh, Backstreet Boys fans are taking up too much space, or New Kids fans are taking up too much space, and blah, blah, blah. But like, you had to, you're dumb if you didn't see the influence that like both bands had on each other.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And
I
you should
feel
thank
like
Donnie
they both
because
injected an energy boost into like both of them. I
give them
personally
time
felt
to rest during the concert, so they would.
Could
do
you
more.
imagine Backstreet and NSYNC together? Oh, what a farce! It would be great.
It would be
I'd love it.
And then
You know what?
the best part about that is that a lot of people wouldn't want to go, so that I would have better tickets.
But they'd all say they don't want
they
to go.
would go.
they're gonna go for
Because
sure.
I know a lot of people said they weren't going to go to NKOTBSB, but
And
I feel
then
like
they
most
did.
No,
of
but
them.
you think fans are shallow, so they will. Because they will.
Like, oh.
No, I'm just sorry. I'm just thinking about my
Fight me. Anyway.
All right. So NKOTBSB
So then-
obviously ended up being good for everyone.
Yes.
Yeah, Kevin's sitting at home and he's like,
Kevin came to the one show, right, in LA.
yeah. And then he was like, I'm coming back. And I feel like,
Yay!
Oh, and
I
then they
feel
did the video. They did the concert in London that they
Yeah,
Oh,
the
the
live stream.
arena.
Yeah, that was great. And that's
That was
where
good.
Michelle was pregnant. And was that
Yes.
also where they announced that Kevin was coming back or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And then one of the cruises, the 20th anniversary cruise, is the one that Kevin showed up.
Oh,
He was on the 20th anniversary cruise. He
Okay.
showed up on 2011.
The 2011 cruise was the one that Kevin showed up briefly. And because he had flown to the Bahamas, I guess, to get on the boat. So
Yes.
he stayed that day. So we had our concert that day, and the other group had already had their concert. So Kevin was at our concert. We're like,
We were very lucky.
we're like, yeah. And then
Group B.
great. We're like, Ruby, what? And then when he was like walking through the deck, and then I stuck my hand out, and he like shook my hand and like looked me in the eye. I was like, thank you so much, Kevin, for coming back. He's like, no, thank you for doing the thing. And then I was just like, oh,
Beautiful.
beams. Like, yeah, so still did not propel him to number one in my heart, but
that's okay. It's still nice.
still it was like, all right, you can come back. That's fine.
So what era are we in now? Present
So
day?
now, no. Then we go to, and I'm just fixing the camera. In a World Like This, and that came out in 2013, and that was their 20th anniversary year.
I used some of those songs for my wedding.
You did.
I did on my wedding music video. It was I don't know if they do that in America, but they do them here, where it's just like they film your day and then they make a little music video for you, so you feel like famous for a day. It's nice.
Yeah, if you pay people money, they will.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Don't do anything. for it.
But yeah, no, in a world like this, that's my favorite era. Not necessarily my favorite album, but my favorite era overall for like tour. And like they looked so good. And I feel like they were so proud of themselves for doing the album on their own without a label and paying for it themselves. And that's when they did the London house and they like all rebonded. And I feel like
I
that
love
all
that.
translated into that era.
I think that was in the documentary, wasn't it?
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
They invited like fans to come in and listen to the cuts of the albums, and they were like doing all that stuff. So
Yeah.
That's like grassroots. That's nice.
they're like, no wives, no kids, just
Right. And I feel like everything they did with that album and that era and that tour, and like I feel like they felt like they were in control. And it just felt like a good time for everybody.
Yeah.
That's what I feel like. You know, I obviously was obsessed, you know, around the millennium era. But I think I really, you know, went crazy in terms of like, I'm an adult and I can do what I want.
Yeah.
And I have money and I want to go to Backstreet Boys concerts. And so that was the first time, like in some of the other tours, I went to like 2 shows out of the whole tour, you know? But that was the tour where we went to 6.
Yes,
or I went to
we
6. They might have meant to slightly more.
Well, and I feel like
I believe I went to 9.
That's the
I feel
dream.
like that tour was really big. I feel like they had more dates on that tour.
It was over the course of 2 years.
Yes.
And so they did 2 North American legs, and there was just like a lot in our area, and we went, and I was just like, I'll go again. Sure.
We also went to the New York City GMA thing when Kevin returned.
That was 2012.
Yeah.
That was before.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so like BSB takes New York, and then we did that thing,
Mhm.
and they were like, they're like, don't film this, don't take pictures, because we're gonna post it all up. Lies, Eddie, lies.
That was when we're all sitting down on the carpet.
Yes.
Yeah, they
And
also
then,
got their star on the Walk of Fame during that era.
Yep.
Yep.
It was just like,
We were
I feel
sitting.
go ahead.
Sorry. I was like, we were sitting on the ground at this New York thing, and they were like like their crotch was at face level, and they were very close, and we're just like, oh, okay, whatever. And then not realizing they could hear us, and then they were so close that we couldn't even like see like
There was
where
so
they
many
were.
Backstreet
And
Boys.
Sophia's like taking a picture of Brian. I'm like, dude, like AJ's right in front of you. Just what? Like, just like, and then I went to like,
Yeah, I didn't know what to do.
I accidentally almost grabbed Howie's crotch.
Woo!
I'm just gonna have my hands down because this is awkward. And we're sitting cross-legged. I'm like, I really want to put my legs out, but I don't want to trip them.
No bad
And then
idea.
we were making fun of Nick, and he heard us.
Oh.
And there was no wall.
Ah!
Yes.
What are you talking? We're like, nothing. What are you
Good
talking?
times.
That was fun. And then we slept overnight in Central Park. Some of us slept overnight.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I did not. And yeah, so no, that was a good tour. But yeah, the star.
In a world. Yep.
We watched that on TV, right? Didn't we buy that or something to watch their ceremony? Was it this?
It was a live stream.
That was the 20th anniversary one.
Oh, yes.
Where we're like shouting at the TV. You're
We
like,
bought it for whatever it was, $15 or whatever, yes. And our friend Jen was there, and like idiots were like, turn around! We can see you!
and we're like yelling at the TV.
We're like, oh yeah, we're not there, so she can't hear us.
Yeah.
We're really smart.
So then, yeah, I feel like that was the first era where we were all adults.
Mm-hmm.
All of us.
Everyone. Yeah.
And
That was
then,
really cool to see them get the star.
yeah. And
Well,
then
In a world like
that
this.
was
Oh, sorry.
The
Yes. Okay.
Kevin's voice.
All right. And then what happened?
And then didn't we go to show? No, that's not the doc. That was later.
Yeah, when was the documentary?
The documentary was in 2015.
Yeah, that was later. Sorry.
That was like the album was over, and I remember this because we went to LA to watch the documentary, and at the very end they were like, we're gonna record a new album. We were all like, yeah. Sorry,
Yeah.
I just slammed the table in anger because it took a long time.
It sure did.
well, because Kevin came back, right?
Right. So then there
Kevin
was
is a perfectionist.
no album for a very, very
Oh,
long
didn't Dead
time.
7 happen sometime between this?
Mm-mm. Mm-hmm.
Dead 7 was in 2016.
Yeah, I forgot they had the Vegas residency before they had any other album. I feel like there's such a
Right.
long gap between In a World Like This and DNA, but I feel like so much happened in that
Mhm.
in that time. But then you had Nick touring all the time, so
Yes.
like,
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess because now we're really truly in the internet age. We have social media, we have everything.
right?
It didn't feel so like it felt like the time between Black and Blue and Never Gone was longer, but it actually wasn't. There was
Mhm.
more time between In a World Like This and DNA. but
Mhm.
just because so many other things were going on, and they had the Vegas residency.
I was about to say, I feel like the Vegas residency really filled a lot of time, and we didn't realize that there was no album.
Yeah.
I realized.
Distraction.
I
Look
mean-
over there.
They're like, look, there's all the hit songs.
Yeah,
Like,
but then they also did that song with Stevie Aoki too.
Oh.
Oh, and they
Florida Georgia Lions.
Oh,
did the
right.
song with Florida Georgia
Yeah.
Line.
That
So they
would
were
really help them too.
Yeah, they were doing like little shit here and there, and we didn't realize.
We were.
And Nick was
You
doing a lot of
realize.
Nick was doing a lot of
So he
solo
was
stuff.
keeping it going for the team, man.
And we also went to a lot of Comic Cons during this time.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so like, go ahead.
she just said because it was great.
Oh, I just I feel like from In a World Like This on has been a pretty good time,
Yeah.
but it's like the time between Black and Blue and like Unbreakable was like time.
Is this
Yeah.
okay? Did DNA? When does that happen? Is that
That comes. So then there was the Vegas residency,
Oh,
which
Yeah.
We went
you
to-
did not attend till actually after DNA came out, which I think is kind of funny.
So we went originally in March of 2017.
Oh.
So the three of us went.
uh-huh.
Sarah also went, but
Sarah
it was
also
not at the
went,
same
but yeah,
time.
so we went like the first section of residency. Then it was like,
I was like, I went.
Yeah,
yeah,
but you went the first week, and we went the last
The third
week of
week
that
of
first
the-
set.
Yeah, and then on the second time we all went. We were there.
We went
together.
to the
We were
last
we
set.
went there for Easter.
And we saw you there.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Wasn't that their last set of shows? Like,
It
No,
was
I think
actually, you guys. It was 2 years ago tomorrow.
oh,
Yes.
Because we all went for the anniversary,
yes.
That's why we were going, yes.
and nothing
And-
happened.
And we were
were
in
gonna be there,
Austin.
Yeah, we're like, oh, there's gonna be all this great stuff.
Yeah,
Nothing.
Kevin cried. That's it.
Basically.
Aw.
Diane's mom got to meet Howie for the first time.
Yeah, I got to meet Diane's mom at a club.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that was hilarious. That was so
Oh my
funny.
god.
Wait, let's not jump
Diane's
ahead.
mom got to find out.
That was
what
not
Brian
in 2017. That was in 2019.
Okay.
So they did Vegas. Vegas was a good time. Everyone, and I do think that that's something that probably the Backstreet Boys are going to continue to do moving forward. They'll always kind of have those, oh no.
Oh, we lost Sarah.
I'm here. My computer's about to die, and people are at my house. So hang on a minute. I'll be right back.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
I do kind of think that that's something that the Backstreet Boys will always like fall back on in terms of like, they can always come back to doing a Vegas residency if they need like.
And
a
they're
little time off.
very much telling everyone that they're gonna go back to Vegas for their 30th anniversary.
Good.
Okay, so
Oh,
there you go.
good.
It's convenient. I like Vegas. It's nice. You got a hotel.
And they get to see sexy people.
Oh yeah, I saw the Sexy Cirque du Soleil. Like it was a good time.
Vegas is good.
And then we're kind of the DNA era is kind of now, although it's been stalled out by the pandemic, but we're kind of still in the DNA era.
That was our best concert.
That was our best
That
concert.
was so good.
Yeah.
In Ottawa, right? In Ottawa?
Oh my god,
Yeah.
that was fantastic. Like
That was such a good show.
They came up with this, like, it was a big outdoor festival, so it wasn't the same. So they came with this VIP last minute. So we couldn't do like backstage. We're like, you know what? We'll just buy it anyways. Whatever. It is what it is because we haven't seen them. And then they ended up adding a pit for us and it was like mostly empty. And we were like, oh, it was so good.
You could walk around.
We could go to the bathroom and come back and not have to stay
Yeah, and
outside.
don't you have like a whole episode on that one? Because I remember listening to that episode and I loved
Oh
it.
my god! Oh, and our pictures, our meet and greet pictures.
Our pictures were amazing.
Oh my god, that's where I shoved my head up Brian's ass.
If you
by
really want to
accident.
hear like a full, if
my
you
God.
don't listen to our podcast regularly and you really want to hear like a full review of the DNA album and the DNA tour, we have those episodes. So
Hilarious.
You can check
it out.
Yes. And
Yeah,
Leah
they're
and
worth
Jenny
it.
went to the one concert in Toronto. We did that.
Oh yeah, was that on the lawn?
no,
this was indoors.
that was.
Pickle Barrel.
Let me see your jam.
See your wings.
Oh, that one. Right, is that when I had the poops?
Yes. It was.
Okay, yes, I remember that. Okay, sorry, that was don't worry. I ended up being fine. But yeah, that was because I was like, yeah, let me see your wing, and then I looked over and I'm like, I'm sorry, Kenny, because like my husband was like right there, and I'm just like, oh,
It was
this is
hilarious.
So they
It
were
was
doing that thing
pretty
where they were changing, but they weren't really changing because you couldn't see.
That was stupid.
That was
That was kind of lame. Come on.
that's why I yelled out, "Let me see your wang."
And then we went down to Nashville to see Sara in the concert and Chris from NSYNC.
She didn't come to see me. She came to see Chris, but it's fine.
She put you first when she said it, though.
I said it first.
When she said it, because I'm sitting here, but that's not the reason.
Is Chris from NSYNC the person who showed up at your door right now? Because
I can't tell you. He doesn't want to be on camera.
Understandable. But yeah, no, that was good shit.
Anyways, we should probably wrap this up because it's been like an hour and 40 minutes.
Oh, geez.
But happy anniversary, Backstreet Boys.
Happy anniversary. Thanks for all the memories. Here's to
Yeah, we're so happy you're here, so we have something to do.
Yay.
Pandemic, we only have been able to do some loop chat.
It's been a long love-hate relationship.
And you know what? Maybe for your 29th anniversary, we'll be able to see you in person.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll be able to see you do nothing special because we did that.
We were going to do that one for which anniversary was 25th? We were going to
They did a virtual concert for pandemic times. Remember? They did a living room concert.
They performed
We
one
did
song.
one song.
It was still nice.
And we did a video chat, and I called Nick.
They did do the all I have to give radio thing.
And that too.
True, that's true.
I made an effort, even though we're kind of in a weirdo time.
Yes. So,
Yes. They tried to do
The
something.
era continues.
Yay!
That should be the Backstreet Boys motto, like Backstreet Boys. They tried.
An attempt was made. That's what I want on my tombstone. Yeah,
We love them anyway.
Exactly. Well, Sarah, we're so happy that you got to join us today. Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
guys for
Thank you.
Hope everyone enjoyed this very special episode. Thanks for taking a break with us.
Until next time.
thanks for listening.
Everyone wave together. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.